Dr. Stewart will lead us in our national anthem.
Sing out, it's a beautiful day today. Glad to have y'all with us. Here we go. We got Cal. Well, can you do it without it?
Yeah.
Let's try.
Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Michael Drake will have our invocation.
All right, good afternoon, Rotarians. Let's bow for a word of prayer. Most heavenly, gracious Father, we thank you for this day as you continue to grant us grace and mercy. We thank you, God, for the families represented here today at this club. Bless all the clubs around the country. Bless our leadership, and God, continue to let us be able to do the good work you call us to do. And thank you again for another week that we get to do those things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Duffy, family Rotary.
Good morning, good morning. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. We had a little bit of a break there. Got birthdays to celebrate. Jason Rudd on June the 6th. We got a pair on the 9th. Robert Bird and Troy Fountain. Shane Sinkville on June the 10th. And it looks like we've got a trio of wedding anniversaries to celebrate. Samuel Prim and Amy on June the 5th, along with Wayne Palmer and Angela June the 5th. And then Mr. John Watson and Gail on June 5th. Adam Dozier and Carter, June the 7th. And Adam Hall and Melissa on June the 8th. So let's give them a big round of applause for the wedding anniversary. Thank goodness for the good doctor coming up here getting us pulled through that Star-Spangled Banner. I know it was from the heart, but boy, we got a rugged start there. But we finished good. And you know, I wouldn't say Cal's to blame, but since there was a wedding for Cal, congratulations.
Not how you
Jim.
start, brother.
Yeah.
How you finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll let him off because of the wedding. Thank you.
Brad Parrish will introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
Good afternoon. It's a great day. We've got a lot of guests today. Very happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized? First guest is Richie Howard, a guest of Dennis Coe. Patrick Mallory, a guest of Stephanie Walker. Will Binney, a guest of Wayne Palmer. Jim Hall, an honorary member, guest of Adam Hall. And Gina Butler, a guest of the club. We also have some visiting Rotarians today. Bob Woodall from the Tuesday Club. Thomas Spigner from the Outlaw Club. And Adam Williams from the Outlaw Club. Any visitors we may have missed today? All right, thank you all so much for visiting.
Pass the roll. Linda Page. Ooh. We're in the four figures. 1,265 points. The ticket number is 5786. 5786.
Good draw. Good draw. Good draw.
I'm like, I didn't cheat, even if he does sit next to me.
I believe it.
He's got one in particular. Which one?
Queen of Spades.
All right, a few announcements. We have one Monday left in our soup drive. Mr. Hanks gave us a report. We have had $420 donated and 43 pounds of food. So keep those cards and letters coming and bring your monies, food next Monday. It'll be the last Monday. Just a heads up, the board has investigated and looked into providing an electronic funds transfer for Rotary use that will be a monthly option or a semi-annual option. It seems like everything just about is done that way. I pay my utility bill that way, and like 20 others. So we're going to do a test run on that and see how it goes, and then hopefully make that available to the club. Mr. John Gormley has something for us today.
Can I draw again? In our ongoing project to know your fellow Rotarians, when I'm here, we try to pick one out and talk about the Rotary service. I'd like to mention Jim Hall with us today, a longtime Rotarian, honorary member of the club, been my friend for 50 years, super guy. Matter of fact, he and Paul Harris sat down for coffee one time and talked about having an organization. And Paul Harris said, "Right, what we ought to call it, Jim?" He says, "Well, I don't much like being called. Why don't we call it a Rotary?" Adam Hall, would you stand up? Adam is a Rotarian since 2009. He is from Dothan, born here, attended Northview High School, graduated Houston Academy, Instilled College, went to Auburn, got a BS. He attends First United Methodist Church. He spent many years with AAA Cooper and then 12 years with Coleman. And he is a senior vice president there. Been married 37 years, has 3 daughters and 3 grands. Adam Hall.
Excuse me, I just had a brain fart. So
Hopefully it'll do that.
Would Walter Hill and Valerie Russell come forward?
I am excited and honored to introduce our newest Dothan Rotarian today. Some of you are probably thinking Valerie's already a member because it took us a while to get to this day where we could both be here on the same Monday. But Valerie Russell and I became friends about a year and a half or so ago when she emailed me. We had met thanks to her boss at the time, Robbie Thomas, who I sponsored when he joined Rotary. And she said, Robbie, I told Robbie I want to get involved in Dothan. So he said to meet with you. And so we met, and the rest was history. So Valerie is a 1991 graduate of Enterprise High School. So yes, she is a Wildcat, a proud Wildcat from Enterprise. She earned a bachelor's degree in communications and marketing at Alabama A&M University. And she started her media career in 1996 as a producer and reporter at an ABC affiliate in Columbia, South Carolina. She is also a licensed real estate broker in both South Carolina and Alabama. Before moving back home to Alabama, Valerie was a media executive at WIS TV in Columbia, South Carolina for 16 years. But in September of 2020, she was promoted to general sales manager at WTBY. Under her management, the sales team broke revenue records. And in January of this year, she received a second promotion as vice president and general manager for WTBY. In 2022, she volunteered as a loan executive with Wiregrass United Way, and she plans to continue. That's what she wrote, not just what I'm saying. So that's good. We've already signed her up. See, it paid off when she came to meet with me and walked across the street that day. She is an active member of Kappa Pi Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and serves as a mentor in that sorority under the Culturama Pearl Initiative. She is also a graduate of the National Association of Broadcasters Leadership Program and is currently a member of the National Association of Black Journalists Leadership Program. She recently authored her first book in her spare time, Corporate Christian 101, where she shares Christian principles on how to navigate through corporate America and not lose your core values. Sounds like that might be a great program for Rotary one day. On January 13th of 2023, Corporate Christian 101 was ranked #1 on Amazon's hot new releases in Christian professional growth. My good friend and our new Rotarian, Valerie Russell.
This way. You have been chosen for membership in the Dothan Rotary Club because your fellow Rotarians believe you to be a leader in your vocation, because you manifest those qualities of head and heart which fit you to interpret and impart the message of Rotary to those with whom you come in contact. You are the representative of your vocation in this club, and any contribution of an educational value pertaining to your vocation must actually come to us through you. On the other hand, you become the ambassador for us to your vocation, and it becomes your duty to carry the ideals and principles of service to your work. We also expect much from you in help and inspiration, which will enable us to be better Rotarians. And with this hope, we most heartily offer you Rotary Fellowship. I wish to impress upon you that you have been admitted not only to the Dothan Rotary Club, but to a worldwide association. And by virtue of your membership, you are welcomed in the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. We all know about those. You're expected to attend club meetings, perform your share of club service, and place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club in its task of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. The community will know and judge Rotary through your embodiment of its character and service. And we accept you as a member because we believe our principles and organization to be safe in your keeping. It is now my distinct pleasure, in the name of the Dothan Rotary Club, formally admit you to membership in this club. I ask that your sponsor is your Rotary pen, your badge, and your 4-way Rotary test. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a standing ovation for our youth members.
didn't have to switch to the wide angle for me.
Would Sam Wainwright come forward, please? Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Wainwright has been a member of this club for 60 years and has decided to change to an honorary Rotarian membership. We hope he will come all the time. You will be missed.
Well, I appreciate that.
Being able to know you through work is just a pleasure, and always appreciated your wisdom and input. You have been a great member of this club. And so we have a certificate for you, honorary membership.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. And I'll be coming pretty regular. Okay?
Very good. Come on.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Would Les Pinkert come forward, please?
I am not here for my 60-year pen. Good afternoon. That was a little weak. I'm going to try that again. Good afternoon. Mr. President, guests, and fellow Rotarians. We are here today to honor Dothan Rotary Club's next Paul Harris Fellow. And it's my honor to introduce him to you. But before I do that, I have a favorite saying that I want to share with you. If you like it, you can claim it, and you don't even have to say that I heard Les Pinkert say it. So here we go. It goes like this. Takers eat well. Givers sleep well. I'm going to say that again. Takers eat well. Givers sleep well. So take that if you want. The Paul Harris Fellow recipient that I'm introducing today is a giver. I'm positive that this man sleeps well. For any of you who have been in any volunteer groups with our club in our service areas, you will immediately recognize him because he shows up for everything that we do from a service standpoint. He's very active in our club. I first came to know this giver through our church, First United Methodist Church, where I got to know him and his beautiful wife. I noticed that anytime we had any church work day, or if our Sunday school class had a service project, this giver was always there. He started his life in rural Barber County, Louisville, to be exact. Population in 2021 was 391. He has multi-generational roots there in Louisville. He attended and then graduated with a marketing degree from Troy State University. He's married to his beautiful wife, Lisa, who has joined us in the back today. She's in attendance. He has 2 adult children, and he has 7 grandchildren. He's been a long-time employee of Kraft Foods that later was bought out by Mondelez. please help me give a warm Dothan Rotary Club welcome to our newest Paul Harris Fellow, Mr. Alan Richards. Alan.
Congratulations, Alan. Well deserved. The presentation of the Paul Harris Fellow recognition is Rotary Foundation's way of expressing its appreciation for a substantial contribution to its humanitarian and educational program. In order to be honored a Paul Harris Fellow, a person must contribute $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation Polio Plus for an approved foundation grant. It's named, of course, for Rotary's founder, Paul Harris, a Chicago lawyer who started Rotary International with 3 business associates in 1905. It's because of gifts like yours that the Rotary Foundation is able to carry out an array of programs that achieve beneficial changes in our world, improve living conditions, increase food production, better education, wider availability of treatment and rehabilitation for the sick and disabled, new channels for the flow of international understanding, and brighter hopes for peace. It gives us great pleasure to present the emblems, your Paul Harris pen and Paul Harris certificate. And we thank you for your commitment to the programs of the Rotary Foundation. Paul Harris said, "He who tries to find the good in others will be rewarded, for others will surely find the good in him. Of all the earth's sad and lonesome creatures, most helpless is he who loves not his fellow man." Please rise and join me in recognizing the newest Paul Harris Fellow. I'll look here. Always been amazed how easily papers in this sphere happens to be in appointments all the time. I'll prepare for an hour, then a piece of paper this year. Stephanie Walker will introduce our speaker on that.
A lot of you already know our speaker today. Some ask, how did you get him to come out of retirement to come talk to us today? And we write him this itty bitty check at Dothan City Schools compared to all the money that he's brought into Dothan City Schools, probably 1/1000th of how much he's brought in. But he's doing a great job of keeping us safe. This is a little bio in case anyone doesn't already know, but Steve is a 36-year veteran of the Dothan Police Department and retired in 2021 after serving 6 years as the Dothan Police Chief. Shortly after leaving the city of Dothan, he began working with the Dothan City Schools as a school safety coordinator. He continues to work closely with Dothan's Public Safety Department and other agencies who share the vision of creating a safe environment for our students and staff members. During his tenure with Dothan City Schools, he has enhanced our culture of safety mindset in the school system. He works closely with other directors, principals, and administrators in developing sustainable safety programs and procedures to ensure that we are well prepared as possible against school threats. Today, he's going to give you an overview of some of the things we at Dothan City Schools are doing to help keep our schools safe. Please help me in welcoming Chief Parrish.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. You know, what an honor it is to be here. You know, when Stephanie asked me to come speak, I thought my public speaking days were over with. And I was just excited and thankful to be able to come back and revisit with all of you guys. And I told her, I said, I was very thankful for that. And she said, well, it's okay, but we're having a series of has-beens and troublemakers. So one week we'll have a troublemaker, the next week we'll have a has-been. And I said, well, Stephanie, which one am I? And she just looked at me. I said, and me being an investigator, and of course Chief Benny can understand this. So let me approach this a different way. I said, who's next week's speaker? And she said, Ricky Stokes. That kind of narrowed it down. So, but seriously, what a wonderful. And you can tell him that because it don't matter. What a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for having me and to share just a few minutes together. And then I'm going to let you ask any questions that you may have. But let me regress a little bit. I think John Gormley had me slated for speaking with you guys in December of 2020. It was a couple of months before I was going to leave. And I think COVID got in the way. Either we weren't meeting or I got COVID or something like that. So I missed that final opportunity. But as the police chief, I always try to come by about once a year and update you on, crime trends or some of the programs that we're doing in the police department. So it was always certainly a wonderful time and good to visit with you. So let me just briefly go back and tell you about how I came to be the school safety coordinator at Dothan City School. So around the first week in November 2020, I went to see the city manager. And I told him, look, I'm going to retire. And, I'm just going to spend some time with the kids and do a little R&R at the lake, things like that. And so WTBY, of all people, wrote the story. And the Dothan Eagle followed suit the next day. And I started getting calls from all over the state from my fellow chiefs of police. And they would get them on the phone and they say, so you're retiring? And I said, yeah. And they said, are you in trouble? I said, not that I know of. They said, well, is your health okay? I said, yeah. As far as I know, I mean, for my age, I'm fine. I said, why? And they said, well, police chiefs don't retire, they get fired. And so I guess I was an exception in today's times. So it wasn't 2 days after that story aired that I get a call from a friend of mine who been a friend of me and my family for 40 plus years, Dennis Coe. So Dennis is like, what you do? I said, well, I'm retired. I said, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm trying to put together a team to help take our Dothan City school system to the next level. He said, and part of that involves safety. He said, I'd like you to come meet with me. I said, well, Dennis, I ain't really wild about working full time doing anything. I said, I've got a full-time job and then some. I said, but if you're buying lunch out there. So we met for lunch, and I guess what was I guess a God thing here is that I really had no intent. I had no plans to do anything. So this kind of came up, and when Dennis explained to me some of the things he was wanting to do, I don't see how I could refuse to do that. He talked about it being a continued public service and sort, taking safety of our kids, and taking school safety to the next level. Educators did not sign up to have to worry about protecting their students or someone coming in the building shooting them up. They didn't sign up for that. That's why we're having trouble getting teachers to stay in time. So he said, if you'll come give me, 28, 30 hours a week he said, I would appreciate it. He said, you have a lot to contribute. I don't think you really want to retire. And I'd already been out of work about a month. I think you're right. I think I'll give it a shot. So I came on board and I started evaluating the school safety protocols and the procedures that we have. And I kind of built a mental picture of what we really wanted it to be. So in doing that, I said, I have just one condition. And he said, what, does she only work for me? I said, well, no, but thank you. I said, more importantly, that nobody works for me. Okay. I had reached that point where I don't want to supervise anybody. I want to take care of myself. And I don't want to go home at the end of the day. So that's what we did. And I started out trying to evaluate the systems that we had. We started out with a threat assessment. We developed really a job description for what my duties would be. It's nothing against anyone in the school system, but the future of keeping our schools safe, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be to get people that understand safety, public safety, not an administrator who, where can we put Dr. So-and-so? Let's make him safe. Okay, those days are past. The future is you have to have someone full-time who helps to create, as Stephanie mentioned in the introduction, a culture of safety. And I really liked the way that was going. So we developed a threat assessment pattern. We started implementing programs. One of the things, and I want to give kudos certainly to, I'm in my third year with them. Not only the current school board, but the past board members, they have been very, very instrumental and supportive of the safety initiatives that we're trying to develop. Okay, I don't think I've gone to them with anything that was that they said, no, we're not going to pay for that. Okay, and one of the first things that we did was we implemented a crisis alert system. Okay, now this is just a little thick badge with a little button on it, and the school board approved the purchase of, over a couple of years, probably $500,000 to get this crisis alert system. Okay, now what this does is basically teachers have to wear their ID cards. They wear this behind their ID card. If there's a fight, a shooting, a medical emergency, anything in the school, the teacher can reach down and hit this button 3 times, and it will send out a staff alert. So if there's a medical call, and we make this happen, most of our calls are medical. The teacher hits the button, the school nurse will grab their bag and they'll pull out their phone, it'll go off and it'll show them right where that teacher is. So what you're essentially doing is you're shaving off critical seconds to where you can get help there quickly. Also, if you hit this thing 10 times, it sets off bells and whistles there. Okay, the lights in the halls come on, the intercom takes over. It said this is a lockdown, secure your area immediately. I met with the 911 board, and after we have a trial period of getting acclimated to these, which probably be at the beginning of the year, we're going to tie this into the 911 center. So when the teacher hits this thing 10 times, the cavalry's on the way before they even know what the situation is. Because that's the key, is to shave down the response. Okay, you have to do that. So this had a twofold advantage. Number one is it did in fact reduce our response time. But what about the employees? Okay, what about the teachers who had the peace of mind that they could hit this button and within seconds, people on the way. We did a survey once we rolled it out the first time before we spent another $300,000 or $400,000 on the rest of the school. And we asked the teachers, tell us what you honestly thought. And one of the examples given was, you know, I saw two boys obviously much bigger than the teacher. And the teacher hit the button 3 times, the silent alarm went off. And before the boys tied up, they turn around and here's the principal, coaches, assistant principals, SRO, they're all standing there, and it diffused. So we can't really measure the success other than the testimony, but the teachers will tell you that this really boosted morale. Okay, so we did that. We also, as Stephanie graciously said, you know, we filed for and received some federal grant money, $500,000 in 2021, and we, you know, we didn't do that on our own. I didn't do that. This was a partnership where our city of Dothan was our primary partner, and you know, I can't say enough about Chief Benny and Chief Williams and Mayor Saliba. And really, I see Chris Judah in the back. We signed MOUs with those guys back in 2021. Sheriff Valenza, we signed a memorandum of understanding to where we would work together. Just give us this federal money and we'll work together. And in discussions with Senator Tuberville, he was all behind it. He wrote us a letter of endorsement. So probably right after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, we were notified, hey, you guys got a $500,000 grant. So we said, well, let's see how we can spend this. So the grant had to be used for safety improvements. Okay, and grant, those of you who dealt with grants, they're very specific, but you have to fall in the parameters of those. So we put up some fencing at some of the schools. Now, Dothan City Schools, there are 19 schools. Okay, 19, that's a lot. So we have to take this $500,000 that won't go around very much if we start spending money on the structural things like that. But so we identified the most serious threats and we prioritized them. And in doing that, we come up with fencing that was needed at Beverly Middle School. We did the old Dothan High School. Okay, it's the Dothan Preparatory Academy, and it don't matter how old you may be. If you went to Dothan High, the doors that we replaced, there were 33 of those. In the classroom doors, they had those old screen returns from probably the original doors that were put in there. So they were unsafe. So we used probably $85,000 of that money to upgrade those. Secure vestibules. We do a sidebar. There are two things, according to the Partnership Alliance for Safer Schools, that will keep schools the safest. One is a secure vestibule. Two is a school resource officer. I agree with that. I think you have to have both. You have to be able to control the access to school. So several of our schools have secure vestibules. So we started looking at which one do we need. So I got with Chief Benny, his crime analyst, and we determined that the Head Start school, which was actually the old Highlands Elementary behind Porter Square, you may remember, it's still open. It's a pre-K or a preschool class. So we have $100,000 set aside, and the architects looking at that stuff right now. They're preparing to put one of those in. Stop bleed kits, Chief Williams. Where are you at? There you are. Twofold thing. When I went on board, Chief Williams told me, hey, Chief, glad to have you. Thank God. You know, we've been trying to do training to teachers and staff, and we just can't seem to get on the right page, the same page. So we want to train all of our teachers, stop bleed, CPR. So we arranged that over about 1.5 years. We got his trainers to come in. We took a teacher work day and we taught the teachers how to administer first aid in a school shooting environment. We did one thing further than that. We actually, with part of this grant, we purchased stop bleed kits, intermediate stop bleed kits. Chief Williams would tell you that has the chest compression, the tourniquets, the scissors, the whole 9 yards, all vacuum sealed. Every classroom we have, thanks to this grant, has them. And we're going to be putting them in other areas over the next several months before school starts. Training for first responders. We're able to send school resource officers and firefighters to anything and pay for their training, anything related to school safety. Okay, we had about $20,000 to do that. Finally, the big one, they're on order. It's hot off the press. Metal detectors will be in 4 of the schools at the beginning of the school year. We just spent about $160,000 of grant funding to purchase high volume, high flow metal detectors in our schools. I'm not talking about the ones that you walk through and pick up a vape or a penknife. I'm talking about the ones you see at stadiums. Okay. So very, very expensive, $20,000 a piece. Again, funded with grant funding. So we've got all those things in order. So then another grant comes around. 2023, one summer it's going to let us buy cameras. It's going to let us buy a vape detection system. So we applied for that. I got Representative Barry Moore wrote us a letter. Senator Tuberville wrote us a letter. Again, I say all that to say this is a community project. You know, it may be a school project, but it's very, very important that everybody get involved. We said memorandum of understanding to social services. How are you going to get that? How can you tie in? How can you tie in school safety to a vape detection system? Well, what about school? What about help the kids? It's sad to say, but that's a major problem in the school system, vaping. And the reason it is, frankly, because they can go home and their mom and dad let them vape. And they come to school and they're addicted. So again, a few things that we're looking at doing in Intercom upgrade. So we've got about 10 minutes left. But really, the last thing that I want to talk about, and I don't need a show of hands. Okay, there's a program that the school board unanimously approved called the Child Safety Program. Okay, now that basically is a stop armed violation for school buses. Please don't run past stop school buses. Okay, there's a big 3-ton block of yellow cheese with yellow lights flashing. Those lights are fixing to turn red. And when those lights turn red, that orange coming out, and then citations are issued on those. Now, I will say they did a pilot program with Angel Tracks, and the CEO of Angel Tracks is here today. They did a test, a controlled sample before they implemented the program, where they outfitted the buses, and there's a grace period of time before they implemented the program. Once the board approved it, it went into full operation on March 1st. And I will tell you that since March 1st in the city of Dothan, Houston County, 1,400 citations have been issued for violating the stop arm law. And just a lot of people worked up. So just tell your people. I talked to Wayne Palmer a while ago. He said that some of his people had received paid too. So educate your people. If it is not a divided highway, okay, you have to stop on either side. Okay, so if there's not grass in the median or a concrete little curb or something like that, or a Jersey barricade or fence or whatever, you have to stop and go the direction. Now, that being said, many of the violations are in the same direction. I can't tell you the number of videos that I've actually looked back at, and the arm would come out and a car would go by and then a child would pop out. I was a police officer for 36 years. I told Chief Benny a few weeks ago, I did not know it was as bad as it was. But that being said, compared to the control group versus where we are today, there's been a significant reduction in the violation. That's a good thing. Unfortunately, you have to issue the citations as a behavioral modifier. So that's a good program. I think it was a great decision by the board to implement it, and a good safety measure that goes beyond just protecting the kids while they're in school. So we have about 8 minutes left. And does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Do we have armed personnel in any of our schools?
Thank you. That was on our list to talk about. thanks to Chief Denny and Kevin Cowper and the commission, they have a plan in place that through a partnership with the City of Dothan Police Department, they're committed to giving us a school resource officer in every school. We currently have 5 schools that are covered, and they supplement that coverage with a program that was started several years ago. I think it's the Reserve Officer Program now, but basically retiree doing something like I'm doing, maybe doing a little side job or whatever like that. They get assigned to the elementary schools, things like that. But that's a very good point. The die is cast for that, and the wheels are in motion. I can speak for Chief Benny. One of the issues that you have is a school resource officer, according to the National School Resource Officer Association, has to be a volunteer. It's hard to find a young kid who's 25 who wants to go sit in middle school. These kids, they join the police department, police. They want to do exciting things. So that's a work in progress, and I'm hoping that that'll come to fruition, because that is the #1 way that you can curb school violence. We have to remember, school violence comes not only from within the school, but from outside of the school, and we can't overlook either one. Is it going to happen? Yes, it's going to happen. As they say, when is the question? So our goal, working with the city, the police department, social services, emergency management, and things like that, is to mitigate the loss of life in the event that did happen. The last 2 years, we've had ASHER training. That's active shooter hostile event response, where we actually bus, 10th and 11th graders to the public safety center, where the police and the fire department spend 2 days with them, teaching them how to cope with a real world situation. So we're training the kids. Who's going to be the first responder in the event of a shooting? The kids will be there. You might have somebody that needs a chest pressure right now, while the police are still trying to clear it. So that's the mindset that we have. That's that culture of safety. It's not only getting the teachers, the directors, the assistant principals, and the board to understand that we're going to do safety. Get us some grant money, let's put a fence. No, we have to create a culture of where we want to be 5 years ago. And some of that involves retraining people who, as I said earlier, didn't sign up for this, to be more safety conscious. I hope that answered it. Any more? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, as a parent of a child feeling this preschool, thank you for all you do. You and
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions? It was a pleasure being here today. Thank you so much.
Steve, thank you for coming. Rick Brogan, Stephanie, thank you for providing here. Let's all stand and recite the 4-way test. Of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial